Hello everyone and welcome back to another Fallout 76 build video. Today we're going to be checking out the Pepper Shaker. So I've been using this weapon for, the last couple of weeks and it has been really strong taking on any endgame boss in the game. It's doing some really great cripple damage and just high limb damage and all that stuff, just stacking with bulletstorm and, some onslaught as well. It's just, where this gun really shines. And I see people doing a lot of VATs build and stuff. This build is going to be mainly focused around not using VATs because to get VATs work, there's a big change in a lot of people's builds, which isn't great. This build, you can kind of pick it up really quick. Unfortunately, you can't earn the weapon until there is the meat week going on in the game. You have to actually do an event called Graham's Meat Cook. And that's how you obtain the weapon, or hopefully you know somebody that has this weapon. But it's the only way to get hold of the weapon. You can actually get some of the attachments and mods and stuff like that in the creator from Mortimer there, so they actually do sell some attachments for the Pepper Shaker for some gold bullion there. So without further ado, let's start looking at the build and let's check out the weapon first. So for the weapon, for the legendary mods, I went for quad. The reason I went for quad is, although I'm playing as a ghoul and I have Wild West hands, it only has 50 ammo, which kind of sucks. You need to get the bulletstorm stack, so quad just works so much better for this weapon and not really having to rely on Wild West hands. And when Wild West hands does come into when it does proc, it's actually really strong. So we do have a backup of Wild West hands along with quad, so it's really good for that. We went for rapid as well, just for faster DPS. For these big guns, I don't really like using explosive too much. That's mainly because they feel very dangerous with explosive. I've played around with, a two-shot explosive 50 calibers and all that stuff, and yeah, it is very dangerous having that kind of level of DPS like going off in your face, because these are like low firing weapons. Especially if you're playing in third person, you feel like you've very easy to kind of blow yourself to smithereens using explosives. So I stick with rapid. Rapid's one of my personal favorites just to have higher DPS numbers. And then for the 3-star, we went for intelligence because we are using the plasma magazine. The plasma magazine is going to class as energy ammo, so that is going to allow us to use our science card to get more damage there. We also have the hex barrel, so we can fire even more projectiles. So we have 8 projectiles firing with, a lot of damage going on. And I just have the standard sights. I didn't bother putting the gunner sights on it. I just think it works fine with the standard sights there. Now moving on to the armor. Now the armor, again, is another important one. You may have seen me use this armor on previous builds, but it is my high intelligence armor. So for the 1-star on all the pieces, because I am a ghoul, I went for lucid. That gives us an increased damage reduction of up to 6% as you fill up your ferrometer. Currently at 6%, so that stacks obviously across all of our power armor pieces. We also have 2-star intelligence mod on all of our pieces as well. And the 3-star we have through hikers, just so we can reduce our chem carry weight there. So it is really nice power armor piece that I have on the T65 here. We also have on the torso, we have the medic pump there, just as a little addition to allow us to get just a an automatic heal when we drop below 50% HP there. Then on the helmet, when I do find the helmet, there it is. We also have internal database, which gives us +2 intelligence. So again, intelligence is very important in this build. We want to get ourselves up to 30 intelligence in total. As you can see here, we have 31, so I'm 1 point over. But 30 is what you want to get at, because that gives us the 35% energy damage bonus there. And the reason you don't want to go above 30 is because the next stack is until like 60 intelligence, and that gives you 45% energy. So it kind of has some diminishing returns attached to that. So the key thing is to get a 30 intelligence here, just to give us some extra damage buffs going on there. Now, as for the build itself, what we have going on here is we have 13 strength, 11 perception, 4 endurance, 2 charisma, 8 intelligence, 8 agility, and 10 in luck there. And I do have some legendary perk cards, of course, attached to this, so let's go over those real quick. I basically have special, perception, endurance, intelligence, agility, luck, and strength. Those are my cards that I've gone for. Now, starting with strength, these are the key ones that we want to look for here. We have shotgun champ. We get plus 10% damage to crippled targets per projectile your weapon fires. We are firing 8 projectiles, so we are going to get an extra massive amount of damage with shotgun champ. We also have bring in the big guns, doubling our bulletstorm stack limit. Easy target, I only have at 2 stars just so I could fit in shotgun champ, because I couldn't fit easy target with shotgun champ and a bunch of other stuff going on for this. So that is really good, having easy target with shotgun champ. If you wanted to take this a little bit further, because I'm so obsessed with having DPS and high DPS numbers and, you know, just fast DPS applied to targets, you could take out tightly wound and put in 3-star easy target, and that's going to give you an extra 25% range damage to cripple targets as well. So that's totally an option if you're not worried about you know, the weapon spin up timer on the pepper shaker, because it can be pretty long. Then you can definitely just go for easy target, or, you know, yeah, you can do that and you just do a lot more damage, but it's entirely up to you. I just prefer having faster DPS and being able to fire my weapon a lot faster. So we have bulletstorm there, of course, and we have lock and load and tightly wound. So that is all of our big gun perks and strength. Then in perception, we have number cruncher, have an extra damage per AP cost is very nice there. We have tormentor, an extra cripple damage basically. Tank killer, we have 40% armor is being ignored. We have center mascus, giving us 75% range damage when attacking the torso. We have deal sealer, giving us 10% damage for each impairment your target has. And we have concentrated fire. Endurance, we have ironclad and fireproof. Some nice damage reductions going on there. Going to go nicely with our lucid stuff. We also have tenderizer. We have field surgeon, stabilize, science, batteries included, and gunsmith. I like gunsmith just because, you know, using these weapons that have a lot of ammo and you're constantly firing them, they tend to break relatively fast. So gunsmith is kind of nice to have in there. However, there is other options. If you don't want to use gunsmith, you can, you know, mess around and put some other things in there. But I personally like using gunsmith. Like, for example, since we're using lucid on a ghoul, you might want to, you know, run something like chem diet, because that reduces your feral a lot slower. So you could take out gunsmith and then you could put in that in endurance there. But it's a preference thing. I have a lot of chem, so I'm not bothered about, you know, not keeping my feral meter high, so you can definitely go with that. Stabilize, very important, especially with the pepper shaker. Give us some really good accuracy there, and science there. So stabilize, science, and batteries included, I guess, would be the main 3 for this one. Then for agility, we have gunslinger expert, guerrilla expert, guerrilla master, and gunslinger. So we can only get 11 stacks of onslaught, which isn't too bad. It's just there for extra damage. Obviously, I'm not doing Furious like I have done in previous builds. That's just because this only has 50 ammo in this clip. So I sacrifice some damage from the Onslaught and Furious side of things just to be able to keep firing and have a higher DPS rate there. And then for luck, we have Faulty Spots, Wild West Hands, One Gun Army. Again, another really good one. This one is going to carry really hard just because this is an energy weapon. It does kind of struggle to cripple targets a little bit, to be honest, but One Gun Army really does carry that, giving us a plus 75% limb damage there. Then we have Ricochet and we have Class Freak. Another few perks I just want to mention that you could throw into this build. We could also go for Love the Spread. Weapons that fire 3 or more projectiles gain 30% range. Not a terrible one, honestly. I believe the other one is Scatter Shock. 20% of damage dealt to a limb is applied to all limbs on your target, which again is another great one that you can throw in there. You know, these are just some really cool perks that you can mess around with this build. Just from me testing out, though, I've really enjoyed using this one. It really does shine and give us, you know, enough damage that we really want to go for. So yeah, that is all the stuff that we have in our perks. Now I just want to quickly show you my mutations. It's my usual mutations. I haven't really changed them for this build. So we just have Adrenal Reaction, Eagle Eyes, Egghead, Marsupial, and Speed Demon there. And now I will give you a build as per usual where we don't have to use legendary perk cards. Okay, so this is the perk loadout without using any legendary perk cards. So we have Strength of 15, 12 Perception, 1 Endurance, 2 Charisma, 6 Intelligence, 10 Agility, and 10 Luck. Now for the perks that I went for, we obviously in Strength is the key thing here. We stuck with Shotgun Champ. We have Bring in the Big Guns, Bulletstorm, Lock and Load, Scatter Shot, and Easy Target at 2 stars. This is allowing us to still keep our damage numbers up while sacrificing a little bit of weapon speed there. We have Number Cruncher, Tank Killer, Center Masochist, Deal Sealer, and Tormentor there in Perception. We have Ironclad at 1 star. Then we have Tenderizer to get a little bit more damage going. We have Science, Batteries Included, and Stabilized. Those are the important ones for Intelligence. Then we have Guerrilla, Guerrilla Master, Gunslinger, and Gunslinger Expert. That's going to keep our damage numbers up again. And for luck, we really want to stick with Wild West hands, Class Freak, one gun army being the most important one there, and then Ricochet. So that is the build that you want to look at for if you are lower level and you do manage to have a Pepper Shaker. This is probably the build you want to look towards getting, and then building up to the previous build that I mentioned. And like I said, you can play around with Scatter Shot, Easy Target, and Shotgun Champ, and love the spread. You know, there's some really good perks for shotguns in this game. Like, this is why the Pepper Shaker is so good, because it classes as a shotgun and a heavy gun, so you can get a lot of damage stacks going on there. But thank you guys so much for checking out the build video. Hopefully you enjoy it and have fun with the Pepper Shaker. Like I said, this is different to pretty much everybody else's, because I always just see them using VATs for this. And I mean, it does have a low AP cost, so you can make some good VATs builds, but I personally prefer just using it as a heavy gunner and just absolutely shredding targets without needing a lot of agility points and stuff like that going on. But thank you so much for checking out the build. If you have any questions or comments about the build, feel free to leave them down below. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for more Fallout 76 content on this channel. And I've been Pixels, my awesome viewers. I'll catch you guys in the next one.